Thank you all for taking the time to join us. We know for us, it's bright and early in the morning. For some of you, it might be a little bit later in the day. But we appreciate you joining, and I hope this is going to be a useful, valuable session for you. Let's talk a little bit about our presenters. I'm going to go ahead and start here. I'm the Director of Graduate Operations, Graduate Enrollment Operations here at Valpa. So I oversee our graduate admissions process for anybody here admitted to a master's program or interested in a master's program, of course. Go ahead, Jess, if you want to.
Good morning, everybody. For us, good morning. I am the Senior Assistant Director of Admissions, and I work with all students coming in for undergraduate programs. So I'm really glad that you've joined us today.
Andrew?
And Andrew Knox, I work in the International Programs Office. We often call it the Office of International Programs, the OIP. So I help all of you with the immigration details. So probably most, if not all of you, will see my name on your I-20 or your DS 2019. But then once you come to Valpo, I also help you with lots of different cultural aspects and love those cultural festivals, and orientation is a really big thing that we do, and we really enjoy that. So lots of things that we do in the OIP.
And we do have a bonus attendee, Janice. If you're available, do you want to introduce yourself as well? Putting her on the spot. I don't know, did she drop? Okay, she might be busy, but she also works in OIP with Andrew.
Janice and I are, and also a couple others you'll see primarily when you come to orientation, international student orientation.
So let's talk a little bit about the agenda for today. This is going to be a busy webinar here, so we got a lot of things to cover. We'll do another brief COVID-19 update. Not much has changed on that front since the last webinar we had, but it's still good to go over. We're still going to talk about why Valpa, because we know a lot of you are probably still in the process. You know, you might have different universities you're still looking at, you're doing your visa interviews. So let's talk a little bit about why Valpo and what makes us different from other universities and why we're a great destination for you for your studies abroad. And it'll also help you during the visa interview, because you're probably going to get asked that question. Why Valpo? Why study in the US? Why this university? Why this major or this program? And then we'll get into preparing for your visa interview. So we'll cover some specific details about what that experience is like. Some of you may have already gone through the process, and some of you may still be setting things up or right there at the start of it. But I think it'll be useful information for you no matter what. And then we'll cover arrival details. So there'll be some information there useful to you about if you've already got your visa or after you get your visa, what do you need to know next? And then we'll do our little housing walk around. We'll talk a little bit about orientation as well. And we've saved a good bit of time here for Q&A, because I know a lot of people have questions, so we'll make sure we get to those. So first of all, just to talk about COVID-19, I feel like here in Valpo, it's really receding into the background quite a bit. You still see it now and then. It happens, you know, it's still around, but we've dropped most of our restrictions. It's not very disruptive to anything on campus. Valpo has had a really great track record with COVID-19, actually. We've had very few cases on campus, and when they have had cases, you know, immediately identified them, quarantined, followed all the procedures to make sure students are safe. And so now we're at the point here where I think campus experience has gotten back fully to normal, more or less. So masks are optional. Of course, if you choose to wear one, you can still do that. And if you have any more questions about our response, there's a website that we do keep updated still, valpo.edu/looking forward. So that's what we're doing right now. We're looking forward, we're moving on and getting back into a sense of normalcy. One thing I know that we want to keep looking at is travel guidelines for COVID-19, because I do believe that our government's kind of lifting some of them, at least for people who are already in the United States, returning from abroad. We'll probably send out another message before you guys start traveling in advance of your arrival time, just to let you know what the latest guidelines are, what you need to do before you travel. Some of you might already know, but in case you don't, try to give you some information on that as well. So why Valpa? And Andrew and Jes, feel free to chime in when you want here. But we're going to go over kind of these broad details, but there's a whole lot of things going for our university. And I think one of the big things that I like to talk about is location, because we are primely located. We're right here in the Midwest, heart of the Midwest, close to Chicago, third largest metropolitan area in the United States. So you have at Valpo this lovely cross-section of experiences between kind of small town, small city America, and then this big urban environment with Chicago, which is very international, incredibly multicultural. Of course, you don't have to go far to experience culture. You can experience some of that around here as well. But you get a good combination of both. And you don't have to pay for expensive living costs of living in Chicago necessarily. We've actually, with this housing option, made things even cheaper for students. But this is a thing that students have to pay for. So we are very keen on making sure that we're an affordable option for international students. I was talking with a student the other day about cost of attending, because she had gotten offers from several different universities, some major state institutions, as well as Valpo. And when you break down some of those costs, fees, cost of living, you'll find we're probably one of the most affordable options that you can find for graduate education, and probably for undergrad as well, if you really look into it. So what else do we offer? Professional preparation, on-campus resources, and the Valpo experience. Andrew, do you want to talk at all about some of those resources that we have available in the Office of International Programs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Valpo is a place that is kind of a small environment. You know, there's a lot of advantages to going to a very huge college, you know, like Indiana University or Purdue University. Those are great schools, but there's a lot of things I would say that are missed at those big schools that we have here at Valpo. There's a very, very personal touch, and you can make a lot of very strong connections with employers through the Career Center, with your professors, and I think that you also have the opportunity to get involved in lots of things that you may not at a really big university. So those are things to just really know when you think about why Valpo. There's a lot of international, or there's a lot of student organizations that many students get involved in and have leadership roles. They can put that on their resume in the future. Let's see what else. Yeah, just a lot of different resources that Valpo can give a personal touch in, whether you need some academic help in your classes, or some career prep help, or lots of other things.
Let's detail in a little bit on this, right? So location. Here we have a little image here of several different experiences that you have available to you in Chicago. Of course, there's the wonderful Lake Shore, Lake Michigan, one of the Great Lakes. So it's a very massive body of water. Kind of when you get there, you might think of it more like a sea, you know, it's so big. It's like standing on the edge of the ocean or the sea. And the Lake Shore runs through Chicago, but also Indiana. So you don't have to go very far to get to the Lake Shore. And then we have the wonderful cultural experiences in Chicago, like the Symphony Center. We have athletics events. We have plays and theaters, restaurants, all kinds of great things in Chicago. And it is a center of commerce too. So Chicago is major business area, major business center, all kinds of opportunities in Chicago across majors, across fields. You'll have very many different opportunities there to take part in. And, Chicago, it's only a drive away from Valpo. So I think, if you're driving by car, you can get there in roughly a little bit over an hour. If you go by bus or by train, you have options as well. There is even a bus now, I think, in Valpo that goes straight from Valpo to Chicago. It might be a little stop in between at a bus station, but you can get to Chicago from the bus now. Anything else about our location, Jes or Andrew, that you'd like to just share? I think there's a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I say sometimes if you were on the webinar before, you probably heard me say this, but I think Valpa is a really unique location. Some schools, some very famous universities in the US are way out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of an interesting American phenomenon. You'll see some very famous universities that are way out in the countryside, and that's great, great place, but so far from, all the food and all the cultural, and also the airport. Chicago is one of the, if not the major, well, probably not the biggest, but it's one of the top probably 3 airports in the US, and it's so easy to find a flight into Chicago. Whereas if you were in some little town, you'd have to connect 3 times or whatever. And then that's really neat. But sometimes these famous universities are right in the middle of the big city, and it's so crowded and it's so expensive and maybe not quite as safe sometimes. But Valpo is in a very, very safe, pleasant town where you can, not be too distracted from your studies. And so it's a really unique location that we're in.
I'd like to add too that Chicago being an hour away, where the university itself is located in the city of Valpo, we are right in town, and we're about 33,000 residents or so in the city of Valparaiso, which is a great size. Our downtown district is within walking. We're about 15 miles from, I'm not sure what that is in kilometers, but we're not far from the lake for outdoor activities. So we're situated in really the most perfect location. It's one of my absolutely favorite things about Valpo and being in the region.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think 1 mile is 2.2 kilometers, right? So it's maybe 33 kilometers. So let's talk.
I have switched to kilometers a long time ago, like everybody else.
We still like those old standard imperial measurements, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look at all these different resources. And Andrew, you could probably go into detail about these kinds of experiences for international students at Valparaiso University.
Yeah, so the Office of International Programs, the OIP, we help you with all the immigration details. We really want to help make your journey in the U.S. and to the U.S. a very, very smooth journey. We in the OIP have all lived or studied or from somewhere else. I lived in Japan for many years when I was growing up. My parents worked there, and then I lived in China and I taught English there after college. And so I know the help that I needed when I was living in those places. If I didn't have people to guide me with my visa and all those things, I would have been lost. So I tried to provide that same, Janice and I try to provide that same help for you all. And then the cultural side, I mean, it's not just about your visa or your studies or those things. It's about having a great experience here in the US and connecting with local people. And those are so memorable experiences. And then of course, there's the student associations. The main one is the Valpo International Student Association, called Visa, kind of conveniently there. But they have all kinds of festivals, and hey, if you want to suggest a cultural festival for them to do, they would probably be happy to help you do it. So
yeah, and that Visa, I mean, right now the president of Visa is very active and involved on campus. It's an interesting way for international students to actually participate to some extent in the governance of campus, right? So at our university, on our campus, as with many others, of course, students have a chance to share their voice, actually be listened to by the campus leadership, and partake in the direction of the university, right? And we especially value the opinions and perspectives of international students who bring that different cultural experience, the whole different perspective to our campus. So of course, we have many rankings. Every year they get updated. These are from 2019, but You can find the most recent ones on our website. So we're one of the best colleges in the region, right? We're one of the most affordable colleges. We have lots of great rankings. We have great outcomes for our students, and we're committed to excellence. So this doesn't change, right? We have a whole team of people who make sure that we get these rankings, who oversee our academics, who oversee the quality of our academics and our student experience. And we make sure that we provide the best experience possible to students. So, and before we prepare for our visa interview, before we get into the details of this, Jess, I wondered if you want to talk about the undergraduate student experience too, because I always feel like from my perspective, I talk about grad. I know it's different for the undergrads here. We might have some on this call too.
Yeah, so in reality, the undergraduate and I would assume the graduate kind of experience is in a way very similar because of the community that we have here on campus. We integrate a lot of the life that our students are living and having on campus and activities and clubs and organizations that you really, you truly get to find those opportunities that you're passionate about on campus while being supported by amazing faculty that are there to teach you in class. We don't have teaching assistants or graduate assistants. So at the undergraduate level, and our average class size for undergrad is about 21. So really kind of personable experiences and having mentors, your faculty as mentors and helping you select your classes. You're really not ever necessarily alone in figuring something out, that you have an entire community here to support you and your passion for learning and being here in the US and studying and experiencing this really big step that you're taking and joining us. We have over 150 different clubs and organizations on campus to find those passions. So if you're not sure on what you could be interested in, what we offer, what is really nice is we have a student interest fair that happens when you come for when you first arrive to campus, when everybody starts moving in. So you can go from table to table, kind of like a college fair if you've attended one. And you can see what kind of offices and opportunities you have to be able to get involved with to kind of enhance your experience and help you make Valpa feel like home and someplace you can be passionate about. So I think it's just a really comfortable size that we are here on campus, that you're not necessarily getting lost in the crowd, and you have the opportunity to be a leader and serve here on campus in many different ways. So, and I think our graduate students still get those opportunities as well. But I do know that our undergraduate students are here typically a little longer, especially for our incoming freshman students that will be here for our 4 years. Our transfer students maybe 2 or 3 years, so a little bit longer than maybe grad. So you can kind of settle in and really shine here on campus.
Yeah, and our graduate students, most of them zip through their programs real quick. 2 years, maybe even sometimes 1.5 almost. But we've taken great strides to kind of incorporate them more into the campus experience, including extending this new housing option that we'll show you guys at the end of the webinar here. But it is a great experience. I'm going to definitely echo Jessica on that. And one of the things that sets us apart is this kind of small, more intensely focused, more helpful experience, right? So you're not usually in large lecture halls talking to professors from a distance. You're going to get to know your professors. You'll get to know your advisors. You get to know people on campus. And you'll have a lot of support, both while you're a student and even after you're gone. Right. So once you move on to your career, we still love to hear from our alums. We still like to see them, and you'll still have access to a lot of great resources. So let's talk a little bit about preparing for your visa interview, right? So if you're in the early stages here, then these are steps that you still need to be working on and doing right away, I would say, because we are getting closer to that start of classes this fall. So of course, make sure you pay your CBIS fee, right? Just jump on there, set it up, pay it, print it, and keep a copy of that receipt. And if you haven't already, then you need to do it right now, right? Because we know these interview slots are really closing up in a lot of countries. It's getting harder to get a visa interview, so definitely want to get started on that process ASAP. And after you get that CSP paid, then you can schedule your visa interview, provided you have your I-20. So make sure you have that already. If you don't have your I-20 for any reason, definitely follow up with us, with your admissions team, and make sure that you have your I-20 so that you can follow these steps, right? And then just get your documents together, right? So once you have your visa interview scheduled by going to your embassy or consulate website, getting that all sorted out, then you got to start the preparation process, right? Passport, CSP receipt, your I-20, financial documents, your admission letter. So there's a whole lot of things that you're going to have to bring with, right? So make sure you're in the good on that and make sure you got all those things together. So now when you get to your visa interview, and this is the step that everybody is kind of concerned about. It's always the scary step, right? Got to go up to this visa officer who is most likely going to be very busy. And then this person is going to ask you some questions. They're going to interrogate you. They're going to see, why do you want to travel abroad? Why do you want to study in the United States? So here's just a few tips that we give people, right? Number one, establish ties to your home country. Right? This is going to be the theme of your visa interview. Of course, you're going to the United States to study, but you're going to the United States to study on what's most likely an F1 visa, a student visa, and that F1 visa is a non-immigrant visa, right? So the idea is you're going to go to the United States to study, to get your practical work experience afterward, perhaps, and then to go back to your home country. So the number one reason for visa rejection is that they suspect you're trying to immigrate to the United States. And that may not be true. That may not be what your intent is, right? But if they even suspect it, if they even pick up on something you say and they think that that's what you're trying to do, then it could be that they deny your visa. So definitely establish those ties, emphasize how this degree or whatever you're going to accomplish here will pull back to your home country, will serve your interests back in your home country, and make sure that you have that demonstrated in your interview. It's going to be a very short interview, right? So these usually don't last more than a few minutes. And you might be asked 5-6 questions most. So they generally don't go very far or in depth. And the interview will be in English. You're gonna have to speak for yourself. So definitely speak from your heart, speak authentically, be genuine. Don't try to lie. Don't try to put on a show for the visa officer, right? They probably talk to a lot of different people, right? So they have been through much before. So you want to just be very genuine and honest and know your program and your career. So if you're studying in a specific major or a specific graduate program, you should know what that program is. You should know what kind of coursework is involved, what kind of job you're hoping to get with that, how that's going to help you in your professional career. You'd be able to answer any questions related to that. Be brief and be positive. So you are trying to win over the visa officer, right? You are trying to be positive and optimistic, and not be negative or pessimistic or do anything or skeptical of them that might take them off or anything like that, right? And of course, they're probably going to ask, as I said earlier, why Valpa? Why are you studying, right? So why did you pick Valpa of all the universities? We've already talked a little bit about some of the reasons that you can share with them, right? So that prime location, that cross-section of experiences, right? The small class sizes, the mentorship, this support structure that we have in place for students, especially for international students who we value very much on campus, right? So those are some of the reasons that you can share with the officer. If they ask you, why Valpa? What's different about Valpa compared to other universities, right? Why is it worth them giving you a visa to go abroad and study?
Yeah, I think one time there was a student on one of these calls that said, well, the visa officer said, all universities say that they are phenomenal and they're a great place to go. What's the difference? And I think that's a good point. And it is true. every university would say they have this, this, and this. So I think the thing is, speak for yourself. Really why is this going to be a valuable path for you? And hopefully we gave you some tips on that. When I came to Valpo, I was actually a grad student, or I was hoping to be a grad student as well. And I was actually living in China, teaching English at that time. So I didn't go through a visa interview myself because I'm a US citizen, but my reasons, if somebody had asked me, I would say, well, the cost of attending Valpo is very affordable, and I think I can handle that. And also, I had some very good connections with some people who had graduated from the major I was hoping to go into, and I connected with the academic advisor, and I really felt that this program was going to help my career. And so I feel like I could have answered that and said, this is why I want to come to Valpo. So yeah, got to speak for yourself.
Right. And, I'm going to share this anecdote too, that I was talking with a student, and I mentioned this earlier in the webinar. She's from Ghana, and she has offers from 2 other big universities, one that's not far away from New York City, another that's not far away from Washington, D.C. And she received scholarships for those universities. She's actually an admit for our Master of Public Health program. And so she was asking me about, what kind of offer do we have, because she has these scholarships. And I went in and I detailed out for her, okay, well, let's look into detail at this awards that you received. And if you look at those costs at those other universities, the tuition rate was double for one of them. So even though she had a 50% scholarship, that tuition rate is inflated, and they probably anticipate having to cut some of it off through scholarships. So you take that into account, you take the service fees into account, which one of those universities had 6 or 7 different fees they were assessing international students. And then you look at other things like, what is the cost of living? Because one of those universities was in Connecticut, and right where they were, they have a higher cost of rent on average than 97, 98% of the entire country of the United States. So one of these reasons you can really hone in on, at least for the graduate level, right, is looking at things like cost. Like, what were you awarded? What is the actual cost going to be, right? Because that might be a really good reason to pick one university over another. And it is a differentiator. So that student, for instance, if she were asked, by the officer, well, why do you want Valpo over other universities? They'll say they're great. Maybe you have scholarships at other universities, you don't have one from Valpo. Well, even then, the cost is still so good that she could save money by attending Valpo, right? So just from a shrewd cost perspective, she could make the argument that Valpo is the difference, right? That's where she wants to go. So anyway, it was a good outcome for that student to look at all that information in detail, but it was research. It was a lot of looking into things. And if you're not at that stage with your offers, as you're looking at where to attend, then you probably should be. You want to look into detail, things like that. And also that just helps you inform you, make the best decision, right? So definitely make sure you're looking at details like that. And all the research that you do is going to help you in your visa interview. It's going to show that you're prepared. The officer is going to want to see that you've done research, that you know what you're talking about. So that's the number one thing. And we can't help you do that, but we can tell you it is important, right? So even if you're applying for studies abroad, whether you're going to start your bachelor's degree, whether you're starting a master's, you're going to be doing research and study anyway, right? So get a good head start on it. Start by looking at your program or your major, learning more about it, making sure that you can talk confidently about it and that it is the right fit for you, and then be able to talk to the visa officer about that. So be sure you pack along those supporting documents, as we mentioned earlier. One of the things that we hear a lot about now is proof of finances, that the embassies and consulates are getting really into looking at, how are you affording your studies, right? And it could be that they ask you, who your sponsor is or what their job is, right? What's their employment? So be prepared to answer questions like that, right? Talk about, dependents remaining in your home country, going back into those ties. And we've had questions before. People ask, well, if I have somebody who's already in the United States, like my brother's already there, maybe they have a permanent residency card, right? Maybe they're either living there, working there, studying there. What do they answer if they're asked about that? And I think, where we land on it is you have to be honest and you have to be transparent about these things. So it's better that you're honest about it and that you can speak about it authentically than that you probably try to lie or that you get hesitant in talking about that, right? So definitely don't be afraid to mention it. We don't believe it should affect your chances at obtaining a visa, short of, unless you say like, well, my brother is a permanent resident, I want to do exactly what he did. So don't say things like that, but you can say that, yeah, I want to go to the United States to study because my brother's there and they'll help me, that they're going to be, kind of a guide there and they'll be able to, show me things and tell me how to handle things in the United States studying abroad. So how will you pay for your studies? Again, that sponsorship question. And what are your plans after graduating? And that's totally fine to mention. After graduating, you want to get practical experience. So a lot of our degrees and our grad programs are STEM certified. You may be admitted to a STEM program. You may have the opportunity to use the OPT extension. And it's totally fine to mention that because that's a good opportunity and it is kind of a benefit both to us in the United States and to you as a student choosing to study here. So I think that's perfectly fine to mention. But that is definitely one of your motivations to get experience so that when you go back to your home country, you're going to be that much more prepared, be able to go to a job, and you'll be able to say, hey, look at this experience I got working at a major company in the United States. And that'll help you in your home country as you work on your career there. Andrew, Jess, anything else you'd like to add on the visa interview side?
I think that covers it on my end. Yeah, just be honest and confident.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely covers it. And I always encourage my students to use our website as a resource as you continue to always learn about Valpo and get excited to join us and be a member of our community, but also reach out. And if you do have questions about who we are, what we can do for you, and what you can accomplish as a Valpa student, we are more than happy to share that information with you as well.
Yeah, and I know Janice is on the call. Janice, we tried to get you to introduce yourself earlier, but if you want to.
Yes, I apologize. I was it was very last minute setup, so I'm actually home today, and my first device I couldn't talk, so I have to get onto the computer to do it. So I apologize. I'm the director of international student scholars. Andrew and I were in the same office, and I used to be an international student many years ago and went through this process. So I know, it sounds scary, but I could totally understand, what you worry about. But I think Ryan covered it all. It was great. And I think just double and triple check, make sure you have everything with you when you are going on the interview, and just be very aware of what the Valpo program offers you. So I think that would be great. The immigration intent, hopefully it will be less of a concern. They're talking about changing it and not making it a deterrent for these interviews. So they know that it is very early on in your life that things can change. But until I got more information on that, just follow what Ryan shared with you. I think that would be great. And I can't wait to meet you guys. Hopefully you'll get a visa and come to Valpo.
I hope so too. One last thing I'll mention on this, because I think this is important for a lot of international students, is you may not succeed on your first try. Okay, so you have to be prepared that you may face rejection at the visa interview. It is a common experience. Many of our current students have been rejected at least once, right? So many of the students, and I'm saying those who are on campus right now, many of them have been through that. So it's not uncommon. You have to be prepared that they may not grant your visa on the first try and you may have to try again. Some of our students, and we have students too who have enrolled, and it took them years, right? It may have taken them 1, 2, even 3 years in some cases. And I'm always a little surprised, but I'm also very pleased when I see a student who makes it to campus, and that student, I look at their record and I see they started their application 2, 3 years ago, right? So it can be challenging. It depends on the country. Sometimes some are easier than others. But the most important thing to remember is if you're committing to this path, if you really want to study abroad, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of courage from you. It's going to take a lot of fortitude for you to travel abroad, go across the seas to a strange new world, country, study there, maybe in a language that's not perfectly familiar to you. And that can be really challenging. But don't give up, right? Don't give up. Stick at it, right? Keep at it. If you don't succeed on your first try again, is the saying we have, right? So I think it's really important for you. Remember, the one thing that's going to prevent you from getting a visa is probably going to be your own self, right? How much patience you have, how much ability you have to go forward and, face rejection, may get rejected once, twice, 3 times. If you give up, that's the only way for sure that you're not going to study abroad. So don't give up on it, right? This is your dream, stick with it and make it happen. And we're here to support you, right? So if you don't make it this semester, we can look to the next one. If you don't make it this year, we can look to the next year. Always happy to defer your admission. And we work with students and we still provide, support and everything to them, right? So I've never told a student, it hasn't worked out for you so far, you should probably just give up. Never told a student that, because if I had told some students that, they wouldn't have eventually made it, right? And I wouldn't have eventually seen them graduate. So don't give up is my advice to you. If you want to make this your dream, stick with it and do it, make it happen.
I want to mention one more thing. I see some questions coming in about different programs, the IEF program, the nursing program, healthcare admin. And so I just want to really emphasize, it's really important that you connect with the academic advisor. You look on the website and find the information. Ryan's probably the expert on everything, Jes too, but I myself am not the expert on all the programs. Janice, we can connect you to various advisors. Ryan, isn't there some advisor information when they get the admission letter, or?
There'll be basic information at the grad level who your advisor is.
Yeah.
And then you'll probably get an email too at some point, not long after, that'll provide some information in detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can always, like Jes said, use our website. Like, if you know who your advisor is, just go to valpo.edu, type in their name, and you'll be able to pull up really quickly, probably a profile of them. A lot of our professors like to put information online as to what their research interests are, where they studied, what degrees they have. So you can find most of that already publicly available, and we will send it to you as well through our email communication plan. There are some good questions there, though, so I will probably address a few of those towards the end here when we get to the Q&A session.
I do want to say for our undergraduate students, it's really important and I know we have some of you on the call, but to register for all student undergraduate orientation on August 19th, because and that's going to be online at valpa.edu/focus. And that way we can get you in contact with your academic advisor ahead of you being on campus to register for classes remotely. And then you can ask those questions about your academic plan of study, what classes you're going to be taking, and start having that relationship with your academic advisor before you even get here. So that process kicks in after you register for all student orientation on August 19th.
Right. And here are those dates. Fall 2022 OIP orientation starting August 16th, bright in the morning. And it does go on a little bit, right? So we have some multiple days here. Continuing on Wednesday, grad school orientation is going to start on the 17th with a final session on the 23rd. Orientation. Andrew, you want to say a word about OIP orientation?
Well, Janice and I will be very happy, and maybe the others will be there at the intros too, but we'll be very happy to see you all on August 16th. So that's really one of the most exciting times for us. We know it is for you too, because we get to see you all here after communicating with you, but it's really, really important. It's mandatory that you are at the international orientation on August 16th. Because that's the immigration check-in that helps to maintain your status, to, bring your I-20 and your passport to show that you're actually here, and then we register you in the government system. And then, of course, all of these orientations, the focus extremely important on Friday, grad school orientation. And we see that students who come to orientation and follow through with, coming to the whole thing, those are the ones that get connected and get the info they need. The ones who sometimes don't come to what they should come to are the ones that often fall by the wayside or have problems in their classes. So really excited to see you on August 16. August 16 is not the arrival date. Please make that very clear. August 16 is the orientation date, so you must arrive in the US at least by August 15. And if there's a special situation, email us and, we'll obviously work with you and help you, but August 15 is the last arrival date.
Yeah, I mean, we are very flexible here. We've had students in the past who, they got their visa interview really late, and can they still make it in, and they might miss orientation. I really recommend you be there for the first day of orientation, for OIP orientation. Like Andrew said, it's mandatory, so make plans to attend, right? Do not wait till the last minute on anything, on travel options or anything else. Do keep us informed as to your status. I hate to be the one to send emails to students. You need to defer to the next semester, right? So I really don't want to have to tell you that. So the best way to avoid that is to, get started on the process as soon as possible. Try to get everything sorted, but definitely keep us informed. And, we can try to be as flexible as we can on many things, right? But there will come a point, it's just going to be too late. So let us know what you come up with. Let us know when your visa interviews are, especially if they're going to be close to the start of classes, close to the start of orientation. And keep us informed, keep us in the loop on that. And then we'll advise you, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? And what do you need to do? If it can work, what do you need to do to make it work? But definitely just make sure you're communicating with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Very busy time. We're going to get a lot of emails, but when it comes to that sort of thing, visa interviews, dates, late arrival, anything like that, you can guarantee we're going to be reading those and replying to you. So definitely make sure you attend OIP orientation. Make sure you attend all the orientation sessions, right? You really shouldn't skip any of them, because this is the start of your experience. It is going to be, the best way to start it the right way, to prepare yourself appropriately. And, studying abroad in the United States, it's going to be different. It's going to be challenging. So you want to get this information. The whole point of this is to orient you, right? So that you are in the best position possible to know what resources are available, all the things we offer here. Make sure you're ready for your studies, and that you're able to, start on time and do well. So be sure you're here.
It gets you connected with a lot of your peers as well. So there's that social aspect too.
Yeah.
So you can make those first friends here on campus and really, again, start making Valpa feel like home. So although a lot of information about kind of orienting you to campus and what we offer and where to go if you need help and who you need to talk to if you need assistance. But also there's a lot of really great fun components in there too. So it's a great opportunity. The energy is really high. So it's very advisable that you go to all of the orientations.
Yeah, definitely. There's picnics. We have a picnic on the first day of the orientation in the evening, and others throughout the week. Focus. Listen to Jess's emails when she tells you to register for Focus, because that's super important for undergrad students. But yeah, it's a fun time. You'll enjoy it.
And let's see, more information will be provided to you. So the pre-arrival messages have started. So if you're an international admitted student, you should be receiving some additional information from OIP at this point. I'll be on the lookout for those. There's a series of 5, and each one has critical information. So just about everything you need to know in advance of coming here, right? It's all going to be provided to you via email. And we have some advice here on arrival. So you're going to be traveling to O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, Illinois. Number 1, preparation. Have a plan before you get here, right? Before you get off the plane. There's probably nothing scarier than getting off the plane as an international student or just anybody from abroad, period, and not knowing where to go or how you're going to be traveling outside of the airport. Our recommendations, you're going to take a bus. You can take a train. There are ways to do that. Or you could take Uber or a taxi from the airport to Valparaiso. If you have friends with you, and you're traveling together, it makes it even easier. You can maybe do some ride shares on that, save a little bit of money. So just be sure you look at O'Hare's website, make sure you have a good idea of what to expect when you get there as far as you can on the website, and that you get here and that you know where to go, where you're going, what kind of transportation you plan to take, and that you have a kind of plan, you have it written out, mapped out, on how you're going to get from O'Hare to Valparaiso. So definitely be prepared for that. And if you have any questions, there will be advice coming to you. There is a message in the pre-arrivals that has to do with travel. So there will be information in there that, will help sketch it out for you, what the costs might be, what the services are that you can use. But just be sure that you're preparing in advance for that. Andrew, you want to say anything else about that piece?
Not too much, but we will have more information coming out. I think, let's see, I have to look at my schedule, but probably by the end of June, 1st of July, we'll have some travel information coming out in these pre-arrival emails. They all should be starting with the title "Coming to Valparaiso" from International valpo.edu. So first one came out last week, next one probably next week.
So I think maybe this is a good time to just do a real quick walk around, show the graduate students on the call a little bit about the hall that I'm in right now. Let's see. If you all just want to say a brief prayer for me, I would probably appreciate that, because this is going to be interesting. I'm going to try to pull up my phone here and join the call. While I'm doing this, just get into a little bit of the details on this. This is a new option for graduate students. So we're going to offer different kind of packages, right? So there are options for single rooms. There are options for shared rooms where you have a roommate. If you're interested in saving money, the shared room option is definitely what you want to go for. But all of these options are actually very affordable. So when you think about some of the amenities that are included, you're going to be able to save some money even compared to renting out an apartment in Valparaiso, the city itself, right? So what do we have on offer at Alumni? And actually this room in the photo is just where I am sitting adjacent. So I'm going to get up here in a second and this going here, but let's see here. So there are 3 options. There's a transitional option if you just need a place to stay for 1 to 2 weeks. There's going to be an option for a semester, for an academic year, which is 9 months, or for the entire year, right? Calendar year, 12 months. So if you need a place to stay for the duration of your program, we can offer that to our graduate students now. If you are just looking for a place to stay until you find permanent housing in Valparaiso or nearby, we have that as well. There are a lot of renovated rooms here on the first floor, and you have a lot of amenities that are included in this package, right? So you have, say, electricity, your trash pickup, heating, you have, what else, laundry, which is an expense that not many people think about, but it can be pricey. And you have a computer lab here. Okay, go ahead with the Zoom.
Connection is also free, I mean, included.
Internet.
Yeah.
Something that everybody needs these days, right? So you can go ahead and use the campus Wi-Fi. When we were first touring this building, we noticed every room now has a Wi-Fi router in it. So the connection is actually really strong throughout the building, right? So if you're in your dorm room, you'll have great Wi-Fi. If you're in any of the common areas, you'll have great Wi-Fi. So you'll have good options there.
Just while Ryan's getting that set up, just mention the things on the screen there, available. I mean, that is a huge thing. Valpo is a very desirable market, not just for students, but for anybody right now. And so that means housing is very hard to find. It's really true, sometimes hard to find, but this option is very available. And hey, what apartment complex has a free TV, piano, games to play, and ping pong? That's a really fun thing. Laundry, I was talking to a student yesterday, a current student. I said, oh, this place has free laundry. He said, oh, wow, because you do have to spend money for laundry in most apartments. Utilities, access to campus. The student I was talking to yesterday, he lives pretty close, but it's still about a 20-minute walk. And he got really hot yesterday in the hot weather coming to campus, and in the winter when it snows, he has to walk through the snow, and right on campus is so convenient. So
let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and then see if I can go straight to video. Okay, I'm walking around here a little bit here. Can everybody see this fine?
yeah, we can see your second. Make sure you're looking at the Ryan on tour screen there.
Yeah, take a look here. This is the common area. So actually there's a lovely space here on the bottom floor with lots of furniture, some game tables here if you're into foosball, if you're into a little bit of ping pong. And like Andrew was mentioning earlier, I mean, this is a lovely space back here with a little electric fireplace for the winter and a piano as well. So I don't know if there are any piano players on the call, but if there are, you could do a little bit of piano playing here. So on the first floor, you have access to a nice lounge area here, and there are lounge areas on each floor. So if you are on your dorm floor and you just want a place to chill out, you can certainly go in the lounge areas, the restrooms down, water fountain. Do the motion sensor lights kicking in, a couple of these lights on. And here's a lovely little study space. So this is definitely for any students who want to have a space where they can study, where they can work on presentations. If you want to, there are these kind of rolling whiteboards. They're actually rather fancy. So if you need to map anything out, pull out some dry erase markers, just start writing on the boards, stage them around. Plenty of sitting space in here. So great little study area in here, nice little nook, very comfortable here. There's a printer here. So if you're doing schoolwork, you need a place to work, you do have a computer lab that's right here on the premises with multiple stations here, which I think is really handy. So if you're in the hall itself and you want to just place to work and study, you do have it here, even if you don't have a laptop in your dorm and you don't want to do that. There's a conference room here. If you have any important meetings you want to do, it's probably a great place to practice presentations. So a lot of our international students at the grad level have to take a class, Grad 500, where one of the final assignments is presenting to your fellow classmates, right? So this would probably be a great space to rehearse that. Well, let's see. Here's a little view of our lovely campus through the window. It's actually very picturesque here over in Alumni. All these lovely established trees, a lot of greenery. And you are not located far from kind of the center of campus. So the Union is just a little walk away there in the distance. If you're hungry, you want to stop in, some food, or visit the Office of International Programs. Should do more of these walking tour videos. These are kind of fun. Okay, so provided I don't get lost, this is a large building. There is a kitchen here. Let's go around. I think it might actually be in the basement. Yeah. So this is a building with, I think, 4 floors. So there is an elevator here if you need to access. Go down here. Hopefully I don't lose anybody, because these are some thick brick walls here, right? Okay. And here's the kitchen area. So it's a nice kitchen setup here. I think international students, if you're looking for a place to have a nice meal, even a group meal, it's quite well equipped. A couple common refrigerators, several different ranges and ovens, and plenty of seating here. You can easily fit 25 people in here for a nice big group meal. And if you want to play pool or billiards while you're at it, you could. Don't put your food on the pool table. That's the only thing I'm going to recommend here. This is not a space for eating, right? Don't want to get any stains on that lovely table there. And here is the laundry area. So you'll never not have access to laundry because there are a wealth of machines. These are free to use. The cost is included in your rent. So, you know, you can come down here anytime, throw in a load. There are even these lovely barcodes. So if you want to scan the QR code, there's an app apparently. It will tell you when your load is done. So, you know, if you want to just throw things in and then leave and then come back when they're done, pretty convenient actually. So now, let's see. Oh man, so many hidden corners. It's a little spooky here. As far as I know, this hall is not haunted. I don't know if there are any stories about alumni. There usually are on college campuses. But if it were haunted, this would be the perfect time. I'm the only person here. So just, you know, the phone suddenly drops to the ground. Somebody dial 911 on my behalf. All right. To it. Just a few flights here. See now, when people are in the building and the elevators are turned on, it's gonna be a lot easier for students. Okay, here we are. So now, here's the common little lounge area. If you want a place to chill out, you can go in there, hang out. Each floor has a couple wings, 2 bathrooms. So you have a lot of area here to, plenty of space here, plenty of capacity. And there's multiple showers in each bathroom. So let's see here. Here's a living space. So first of all, my favorite part, you have a lovely view right here. Just a beautiful campus, right? All these trees and greenery, lovely landscaping down there. And it is a nice sizable dorm room. So you're not terribly cramped in here, even with 2 people, right? You have rooms, you have beds. These do pull out a bit. You can pull them out. You have extra storage space here underneath. You have a study station. You have plenty of outlets and underneath lighting. You need a sink in every room, a mini fridge in every room, which is actually quite nice to have both a sizable mini fridge with a decent amount of space in it, as well as a freezer and a microwave. So plenty of storage space as well. As an international student, you're probably not traveling too heavy, but you do have plenty of room, fit in luggage, fit in your clothing, and other such things, right? And you're free to decorate it however you want, right? There will be some rules, as there always are, residence halls, but you're free to go ahead and decorate, personalize, make it your own. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and check out this area right here. So just right around the corner from that room, you have a lovely little space here with the television. And right now, I'll say it's probably the best time. That's the elevator right there. Best time to live in this hall because, who knows, by next fall, this could be filled up. So if you get in now, you probably have a little bit of space, a little bit of elbow room. But we do anticipate having a good amount of interest in living in this hall for this fall. So I highly recommend it. Like I said, there are a couple of different options, and we've worked hard, our residential life office. They have slashed the prices on it, make it very affordable for graduate students. As graduate students, you're a little bit more sensitive to price. Already studied. I'm at the undergrad level. So any graduate student on the call who's interested, if you check your applicant status page, you should find on there a housing interest form. And of course, you can check in here as well. And that housing interest form, you can indicate what options you're interested in. The prices will be on there, some information about the amenities as well. And just go out here real briefly. Take a nice but I highly encourage you, let us early as well, best. Here you have your card. Back in the hall. Okay. It's an emergency defibrillator there. Luckily, I didn't suffer a heart attack climbing down or up the stairs, but there are defibrillators nearby in case you do. All right. I think this is going to conclude the walking tour for now. And from here, we'll follow up on the rest of the presentation.
That's a great tour, Ryan. That's a
And Ryan, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen real quick. I just have some standard pictures that I can share as well.
Right ahead.
would have thought you would have done that 6 or 7 times.
Well, I got some experience yesterday.
All right. So can everyone see my screen, hopefully?
Yep.
All right, so this is a room in alumni, which is an exact replica of Blankenau, which is a freshman resident hall. But I'll show 4 different pictures, and that way you can kind of see it decorated. You can kind of use your personality. Obviously, this would be a female decorated room. I think the bow pillows definitely do it. But this looks out towards the windows, and you can kind of see how you can set it up. And then second, let's see. I'm gonna try to flip, maybe. Okay, so this one. And then this is looking back towards the hallway, so you can see the sink, the wardrobes, and the beds. And then this would be back towards the window again. So you can kind of see how you can set it up. And as I dropped in the chat, we are very close to campus, to local stores. So if there's items that you need or want for your room or for you on campus, school supplies, you have access to those items to get here in town. You don't have to go very far to get them. And we have free public transportation for students to get around the city of Valpo, and it's within walking distance also. So you don't have to bring absolutely everything with you when you come from abroad. You can procure it here, but of course bring the items that mean the most to you and that you feel comfortable bringing.
Yeah, and that prime location on campus, right? So right now in the United States, gas prices are getting kind of high, right? So that's a cost that a lot of students are going to have to take into account. The less gas you spend traveling to campus to attend class, the more gas you can afford to spend traveling elsewhere, right? So living on campus is a good option as far as saving money on gas. So a lot of good reasons to take advantage of it. It is an option for you, so if you have the other options, you feel free to pursue them. But yeah, I highly recommend it for any students who need housing on campus.
I want to add one thing that maybe people may have question is actually this is a co-ed dorm, but it's one gender per floor. So men will be on one floor and share the bathrooms, and then female will be on the alternate floor. So.
Right. And there's lots of great safety and security, and access. So it's not easy to get in between places unless you are that type of student. Right?
And you don't have to clean your own toilet. I love that when I live.
Keep thinking I want to live on campus because it would save me a lot of work too. Oh my gosh. So now I think we got some time here. Let's move on to questions. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chat real quick, and I'm going to look early and see if there are any here that we missed that I can just quickly address. But now's the time. Feel free to chat your questions in, and we'll try to get to everybody. Let's see here. So I know I mentioned earlier economics and finance, international economics and finance, and IT, of course, for STEM programs. Our public health epidemiology program is becoming a STEM certified program. So it's actually being reclassified right now. Somebody asking for the faculty of nursing, and Jes shared a link as well. So definitely look into that. So a whole lot of information about our nursing faculty. I actually just created a flyer for them to, lay out their bios and a lot of their interests all in one. So feel free to send me an email If you want, be happy to share that flyer with you. I'll type in my email address here. If you have questions about the nursing faculty, for sure. So let's see here. If you need more information about your program, I know there's a question about sports ed administration, definitely look at the website, right? And we'll email you some information too. But the most information you can find is going to be on the web page for that program. Should usually include the curriculum. It'll include some of the career outcomes perhaps. And we should be emailing you some of the information to help fill you in on details on the program.
There's a question from Vincent there about who to inform about travel plans. So I believe you should have received the email last week, the Coming to Valparaiso first pre-arrival email, and in that there's a link to a portal we call iValpo. So in iValpo, you'll see the instructions on how to get there. In iValpo, there's a list of e-forms, and one of those e-forms is like travel information or something like that. So make sure you fill out that e-form. That's how we can know when you're actually coming.
So about the housing, if you book the housing for 4.5 months and later you want to shift to some other place, there is a cancellation policy, which is not unusual no matter where you're going to live, right? And it's pretty standard and it's actually not too bad. I think there is a fee that's more or less going to be the cost of a month of rent, and you'd have to finish out paying out the month that you're still staying in the housing, right? So pretty standard cancellation policy, common to other housing options. Let's see here.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, this is Anirudh. Actually, I have a doubt.
Sure.
So the thing is, I got my visa from other university, so I need to transfer to Valparaiso. I hope like we have interacted with you long back for analytics and modeling. So
Okay.
hope you remember me. So right now I'm looking to transfer to Valparaiso University. So can you please guide me what is the process, and or else should we connect in personal, or else what things will be happening? So the August 16th is like the orientation. So I don't have enough time to do things. So
Yeah, so have you been admitted to Valpo yet? Like, have you gotten your Valpo admission?
yes.
Okay,
I got.
Yeah, definitely. So you can email me directly about the CVIS transfer, andrew.knox@valpo.edu. But basically, if you receive that first pre-arrival email and there's the iValpo link in there, in iValpo, you'll find an e-form that says CVIS transfer in e-form. So that's where you start. You go to that e-form and there's some information, but you actually need to come into the US on that visa, and you'll need to report to that school first and then request the transfer. But for more detailed information, you can email me and we can talk about that.
Okay, so sorry, can you please like mention your email ID in the chat, so that will be very comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll put it in.
And one more thing, the e-form also, so that will be very clear.
Yeah,
I can directly go.
yes. Let's see, I'll put the iValpo link and I'll tell you how to get there.
Sure. So is there like any problem like by transferring the university? Any problem that I face?
As long as you report to that school and you report to us and you do that within the correct timeline, there shouldn't be any problem. That's a common thing, and you're allowed to transfer between schools, so that should be fine.
Okay, got it. And one more thing, like I heard like the university which I went for visa, so they have mentioned like if you get from this university only visa, So again, you need to drop, the university will be drop my visa, and again I need to apply for new visa, and I need to go for visa interview. Is there like any chances of getting my visa dropped because of transferring my visa?
You know, I would say probably not, but maybe it'd be best if you email me that information. I can look into it a little bit further. Yeah, that might be the best thing, and then I'll probably give you a more full answer if you send me an email.
I want to add one thing about a transfer is there is some restriction if you come too early to the country. So again, maybe that's something that Andrew can tell you more. Because sometimes we have students who try to transfer and they come here more than 30 days before, and there's some complication. So
yeah, so make sure you do not come to the US before, let's see here, what would it be? Let's just say, to play it safe, let's say July 20th, 2022. Do not come to the US before July 20th, 2022.
Okay, got it. Actually, I booked a flight on August 3rd. So that will be better for me.
Yeah, that should be fine. That won't be a problem with the timeline. But yeah, send me an email and I'll make sure all the details are right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew.
So we had some questions about the cost of a room, how many in a room. So I said there are single options. So if you want the dorm room to yourself, there is a single option. It is a little more expensive, but if you're committing to a 9 or 12-month term, I think it comes out to around $800 USD a month. And that is as expensive as it would be to live in a studio apartment in Valparaiso. So it's actually pretty comparable to the local living expenses. If you're sharing a room with a roommate, $400 a month. And we know that's a pretty popular option, right? So if you have any idea of who you want to share a room with in advance, you can let us know on the housing application when you fill it out, and they'll try to pair you with the roommate. Otherwise, they'll match you based on other factors like common interests. So when you fill out the housing applications, they will try to pair you with someone who they think will be a good match for you, right? And you'll answer questions in the housing application related to that. So let's see here. Andrea answered the question about the gym. It's not far away. And again, that location is just really great. You're right next to campus, within walking distance of your classes, within walking distance of our downtown. So it's a very short trip to just walk out here to get over to Lincoln Way Avenue and then walk all the way down to the downtown.
and Ryan, that 400 and 800 price range actually also include a small access to the dining hall for some limited meals, right?
Yeah, so you get the 50 for 50 meal plan, and factor that into the cost of paying for meals. You can stop by the cafeteria, and I think you can use 50 swipes and then have additional $50 of discretionary income to spend over there. So that's a good savings on its own, right? It's built into the price already, as are all of the other utilities and amenities. That's one of the things when you look at rent prices, no matter where you are, especially around here, right? You'll see a rent price, you'll think it's pretty reasonable. When you find out what the utilities are, the internet, all the different things, trash, water, anything else that you have to pay for additionally, that price can really creep up. So that is a very flat fee right there for housing. Gets you everything included in it. Even laundry, because as a student, if you're doing laundry and paying for laundry, as most people who live in apartments do, that can add up pretty quick. Right? So
that meal plan is worth about $500.
It's about $475 or something like that.
So that's a great thing to think about when you. Kwabena, do you have a question?
Hello. Yes, I wanted to find out if by August I'm not able to get an interview section and I would want to defer. When next would I be eligible to enter the next academic year?
Let's see here. So if your visa interview is before orientation, anytime, early August, hopefully you can come. But let's see, Ryan, what's the best answer about the deferring?
You're asking when do you need to notify us to defer?
Yes, in case August is too late to get a visa interview to come to Valpo, I would want to come the next academic year, probably January. I don't know when is it. I'd want to know when is it.
So let's see. The best time to notify us is whenever you know that you need to defer. And then as far as when the next start dates are, what program were you admitted to?
MIS. That's my information technology.
Okay, so yeah, our next start date would be spring, which is January.
January.
So it's actually not terribly far away, you know, just a few months afterward, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of students start in spring still. And those are our two major intakes for information technology.
Okay, thank you.
Good option. There's some good time to get in January, still start the program. And if you had to defer again from that point, the next start would be that fall, that following fall in August. They may do a summer intake next year. There's been a lot of popularity in that program and demand. So if they did a summer intake, it would start in May. But I can't confirm that yet because it just kind of depends. They weren't able to do one this year, despite the fact a lot of students wanted it. So, but they are looking into it for next year. Good question. So let's see here.
Reaction.
Travel plans.
Lower hand.
Let us know, I would say. Me, Andrew, Jess, whoever your counselor is. And what is GRD 500? It is one of the classes international students usually take at the grad level. Graduate international students will take that. It's kind of an academic. It's an extension of orientation. So it doesn't count for any credits. It's a 0 credit course. You need to pass it. It's a fun. All the students who take it, it's generally, you know, fun, informational, things of that nature. With dependents, if you already notify us in advance, you should probably let us know via email. Andrew, is there anything you know about the dependents in advance? You muted.
Guess I'm muted. Okay, so for dependents, yeah, just send me an email if you think that you will need to bring dependents with you, and we can work on the F2 dependent I-20. There's a couple details about that, but yeah, just send me an email and I'll tell you how to do that.
We do have transitional housing option, 1 to 2 weeks. So if you do just need a couple weeks, start of classes, help yourself, you know, give yourself some space to find housing elsewhere you can. And that option is very cheap. It's only $150 a week. And that's cheaper than probably renting a hotel would be. So definitely a good option if you just need a little bit of time. I said there is a housing interest form that's already live. And I would probably say this week or next, the housing application will be sent out to students. So you'll have a link to it. It prompts you to log in to Data VU. So I think we'll primarily be sharing that with students who, let's see, I believe you have to be confirmed, or in our case, to be have a visa. So if you have your visa, you should be good to apply for the housing. You'll have the access that you need. So definitely, once you get to that point, the housing application will be made available to you. And so be on the lookout for that. What if by 2 years one did not conclude their academic years? I think you do have time to extend your stay, right, Andrew? Like if a student doesn't finish their program within the normal allotted time?
Yeah, if a student is making normal progress, you know, they're not failing all their classes or whatever, but they're making normal progress to their degree. And in the last semester, so at the end of their final, what would be their final semester, they realize they'll need to take a couple more classes after that semester. Then they can extend their I-20 before it expires in that final semester. So don't worry about it right now. Hopefully you'll finish within that time, but if not, before it expires, you will have the chance to extend. Mercy, you had a question?
Okay, yes, I have a question about it. It's actually one of the visa interview questions that have been flying around in a group I belong to. They will ask you what will happen as an international student. You were not able to round up your program. This is a 2 year course, and at that 2 years, you were not able to round up your program. What will happen as a non-migrant student? So that's
Yeah.
why I asked the question.
Okay, so they asked that question in the visa interview?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so yeah, so if that comes up in the visa interview, that's an easy answer. You just say, well, my program is whatever it is, 2 years, 1.5 years. My program is this length, and most students in my major finish during that time. So I hope to finish during that time. If I need another semester to take another class or 2 or 3, then I will easily be able to extend my I-20 before it expires, so I can have 1 more semester. So that is a pretty easy process. The only thing you have to think about, well, 2 things. Number 1, does your academic advisor agree? So will they say, yes, you can, you need 1 more semester? And number 2, do you have a financial statement that will show enough funds for the extension period? So if you have that and you're making normal progress, fine, you can extend your I-20.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will say at the graduate level, we are very eager to get the students through the program in the allotted time. So it's very uncommon that students have to extend their stay or do anything like that. As a graduate student, you really don't wind up with many situations where you're going to have to retake courses. So you're kind of expected to pass your courses. You can't give more than 2 Cs during the course. It could result in academic probation or dismissal from the program, right? So it's important that you perform well academically. So it's almost like you're not going to be allowed much to extend your stay. Of course, things happen. Students do wind up in situations where they have to extend because of a personal emergency. Something else happens in their life and it causes issues. And so we work with students through those situations. Even students who have issues with academic progress, we work with and we help out. One of the things I'd emphasize is we have a whole lot of services here, a whole lot of people interested in your success and making sure you get through the program. So I highly recommend, as an international student, as a graduate student, that if ever you find yourself doubting, if you find yourself in trouble or something like that, right, and you think it's going to jeopardize your academics or your ability to complete the program, the earlier you notify us, the better. And so definitely reach out to us, definitely talk to us. We're happy to help. We can even help students find tutors. We can do all kinds of things to intervene and intercede on behalf of students to help them during their program. We had a situation this past semester where a student, he was having struggles and he wound up in a very bad situation where he could wind up on academic probation. He notified us at the end of the semester, just as grades were being posted. And by that point, it had been too late. It was basically too late for us to do much to help support that student. And because, the professors are saying, well, the grades are what they are, and there's all this stuff that could have happened and the student didn't take advantage of it. So the student came to us for help, but they did so at such a late stage, there really wasn't much we could do. Now we were able to advise the student, kind of provide them with some guidance and a plan for how they could still finish their studies and succeed and work to reconcile some of the issues they were having. But like I said earlier, the better. So, as a graduate student here, we're all here to support you. We're all here to see that you succeed. So definitely reach out to us at the first sign of trouble if you're concerned something's going to happen or you're having some problems. If you need any time, if something happens in your home country and you have to leave or something like that, there are issues that come up. So just keep us informed. definitely communicate with us. And we're here to support you, and we're here to back you throughout your studies and beyond. It's a good question here. So,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Let's see. I think I mentioned that public health epidemiology concentration is being reclassified as STEM, and I think that should be fine for anybody admitted for fall. If you were admitted to global health, public health, let us know. So if you are interested in changing from the global health track to epidemiology in order to take advantage of the STEM certification, just keep us posted, send us an email. We'll definitely provide you more information on that. Well, I think we're coming up on time here, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and thank everybody who's joined us for this. Thanks for staying with us. Thanks for joining me on the walk around the building. I hope you were as exhausted as I was after the walk. Probably weren't, but I know I was. But anyway, we look forward to seeing all of you on campus. We're really excited for you. This meeting is going to be recorded. We'll post it to our YouTube channel pretty soon. Share it out with everybody who was invited to attend. So either those on the call who attended have an opportunity to review it, or you can share it with friends if you want to once it's posted.
Yeah, it was really great to see you all, and hope, it's only, what is it, month? Oh, 2 months, 2 months away. That's actually 16th today, so 2 months from orientation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward to seeing you all then.
Coming up. So Janice, Jess, do you have any parting words for our international students you want to share? Putting you on the spot?
No, I'm here. We want to push for the housing option because we know how challenging it could be for our students to find housings, and so that's the university really support us to, and international students to provide this very competitive pricing housing option for you guys. And I really want you to see you guys to take advantage of it. Even if even you just want to try for one semester, I think it would be great. And I look forward to have this international student community right here on campus, and that way I feel like you can connect to our office and different programs more. And I think that is very important. When you are connected to campus, you'll be more successful. You have that support system, and so I look forward to see you guys, and so best of luck as you have your visa interview.
And I did drop my email in the chat, as well as that it's on the screen, but that's the easiest way to get a hold of me to support your undergraduate student questions. I'm looking forward to an amazing fall and seeing you all in August.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. I hope you all have wonderful days. And in the meantime, if anything comes up, just send us emails, keep in touch with us. We might do one more webinar for visa preparation and pre-arrival in July. So be on the lookout for future invitations. And until then, we bid you adieu, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Good day. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very welcome.